of Shop Talk. So in the past, in the first two, with Pitt County and Beaufort County, we focused a lot on employability skills, as Will mentioned, with local employers talking about what makes someone employable. We'll expand a little bit on that today, but really we want to dive into some of the macro aspects of the regional economy in Eastern North Carolina. Why Eastern North Carolina? What makes this a special place? Why would someone want to live here? Why would you want to encourage one of your students to get educated here, to work here, and live here long term? So we've got an awesome panel today that will talk about some of the strengths of Eastern North Carolina and maybe some of the opportunities that we could all work on to improve to make this a great place to live. So first we'll start with introductions. So Matthew, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I'm Matthew Whitney. I'm the maintenance superintendent with Weyerhaeuser in Plymouth. We make dimensional lumber. We've got 3 plants in the area, one in Grifton, one in Vanceboro, and then one in Plymouth. So
I'm Billy Barber with Martin Community College. I'm VP of Operations, but I'm also industry services here in Martin County. So I work with at least a dozen of the industries in the county with training and hiring and their workforce needs, kind of liaison between economic development, the college, and the employers.
Billy? Rebecca?
I'm Rebecca Harned, Executive Director for the Martin County Chamber of Commerce. We also serve Washington County, and we help businesses of all sizes with promotion and a lot of other services I'll go into more detail about later.
Hi, I'm Lori Jones. I'm a proud graduate of MCC. I am a market manager for Manpower. Most of our positions that we hire for are manufacturing. We have around 375 employees that work in this area, Pitt County, Edgecombe, Nash, surrounding areas. So I look forward to talking with you.
Thank you all for being here again. So Rebecca, I want to start with you. As I mentioned, we want to kind of highlight the quality of life of Eastern North Carolina. At the Chamber of Commerce, you kind of preach Martin County, Washington County, why it's a great place to be. So talk a little bit about why it is a great place to be.
It's great because of the people that are in Martin and Washington counties and our other neighboring counties. And we get the majority of our work done through partnerships and collaborations. So through working together, making sure that people have access to resources, to information, to assistance. And that's, our job, we're kind of an info hub. So we send, as we get information, resources, we send that out, and we try to make connections between businesses with employees, getting small businesses, at-home businesses, making sure that they have access and that all groups are represented. That includes women and minority businesses, home-based businesses. We make sure that no one's left out, no one's excluded. So it's a very inclusive program, and when it comes to offering our services. So there's a lot of things that make living here great, and I think it's really individual. So all of us, if we were to throw a word cloud up, there's a lot of different things like access to different resources, the community, sense of community. We have temperate climate, so this is a nice place to live because it doesn't get too extremely hot and not too extremely cold, except for a little while. So there's a lot of neat things. There's a lot of culture here. There's a lot of history here. This is where America began, so we should be proud to be living in the birthplace of America. So there's a lot of things. So we're excited to be able to present and promote all of those things, and then always striving, of course, for growth and progress as we help all of our businesses achieve their goals. So that's mainly why we exist, is to help folks, if they're a home-based business, maybe they're ready to take the next step, become incorporated, and then moving up and forward from there.
Billy, I want to turn it over to you now. You work with a variety of industry. When you're working with industry, why are they here in Eastern North Carolina? Why are they staying here in Eastern North Carolina? What are the benefits for them from an industry perspective and also the employees themselves?
So I'm sure you've heard the saying, from the mountains to the coast. North Carolina is one of those unique coastal states. We got the mountains, and then it's less than a day's drive to the coast. We've got lots of land. We've got rural land. Manufacturing a lot of times is looking for space, They're looking for economical space. Transportation is a huge issue, being on the coast. You know, we're close to ports and shipping docks. We have a road system that goes up and down the East Coast. So, you know, North Carolina's in a pretty cool space. If you look from the top of the U.S. to the bottom, we're about halfway. So that's attractive for manufacturers. Again, the space, the cost of the space, you know, if you try to get in an industrial park or build one or buy land, you know, in the middle part of the state, where it's congested, it's a big value to move east. The workforce is what they're looking for, and the workforce is, as I'll just put it out there, can be an issue sometimes in these rural areas. In the old days, there was a little more rural population, and you would see the big plants in the rural areas, and they would provide the livelihood for these folks. Nowadays, people are tending to migrate closer to the cities and suburbs. So that's an issue we do need to turn around, because all those positives that we have, we still need the workforce out in the rural areas for these plants to move here and set up shop and grow and go. You know, the area, the privacy, the less traffic jams, those are all great things that you can have, but our kids still need a viable employment, and so if we can help with the workforce in eastern North Carolina, northeastern North Carolina, then our kids can stay here and grow here, and then some of the amenities that we have in the cities can be developed. But it's a great place for manufacturing and for industry.
Thank you, Billy. Matthew, I want to turn it over to you from a specific Weyerhaeuser perspective. What makes it so beneficial for Weyerhaeuser to be somewhere like eastern North Carolina?
So that's pretty easy for me. So we've got the best southern yellow pine bed in North America. We are strategically located to provide dimensional lumber, which is from grade 2 high value product up to framer series. We provide all the lumber that they use in construction, new homes, large commercial buildings, all the way up to Eastern Seaboard, all the way over to Chicago and down. We own more land in the area, I think, than anybody else. We're the #1 landowner in the world, and it's a very important location strategically for our company. And if the mills here were to shut down, I think the area would suffer, and I think our company would suffer greatly as well.
I want to follow up with, we talked earlier about the Weyerhaeuser operation. There's a lot of automation right within that facility. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? And you're not working just hard labor with your hands there, correct?
No, so the old way in a sawmill used to be you ran a shovel or a broom for the first 90 days, figure out if you were going to make it, right? So if you had the grit to get through that, then we put you on a machine and see what you got. We've kind of gotten away from that because of the automation with the machine. So when I walk around my mill and I look, if an operator's working hard or he's in the process, if he ain't sitting in a chair watching a machine Cadillac, it's a problem, right? So it's my job to take care of that. I don't want people in process. It's a safety issue. It's a production issue, and it's not a good working environment for people. So we want people to be comfortable. Our goal is 0 injuries, even from strains, sprains, splinters, first aids. We shoot for 0 every year. So we're definitely looking at our process, looking at ways to improve things so that way people want to come work there. It's an enjoyable atmosphere. They can go home in the same way that they came. And I think some of the old school, perception of sawmill and our oil field or heavy industrial is it was dangerous. There was a lot of fatalities, a lot of recordables, a lot of injuries, and we're really trying to work hard to get away from that. So,
thank you, Matthew. Laurie, I want to go over to you now. Looking at the region as a whole in eastern North Carolina, what are some of the top in-demand jobs, and also what are some of the top skills that are needed for those jobs?
So I can only speak with a focus on manufacturing. So 90% of our jobs are manufacturing. We've seen a huge increase in automation. You were talking about automation. So we really kind of try to focus on skilled technical. That's really needed in this area, in the eastern North Carolina area. Majority of our employers, our clients, are looking for that. And sometimes they're not necessarily looking for someone that has that experience, but the ability and the desire to learn new skills. What we offer is, because there's such a lack of that particular skill, we're finding that not only us, but our clients, our companies, these manufacturing companies, are upskilling their associates. So they're learning new skills, and we allow them the opportunity to take certification courses like for CNC programming, engineering, quality techs, maintenance techs, machine operators. So we're actually finding that because the workforce is so hard to find right now, that they are training those employees. So someone that has a mechanical aptitude or is learning skilled technical is a great skill to have in this area in East North Carolina.
Now, I do want to follow up with
Okay.
you, Laura.
Yeah.
Is there a reason it's so hard to find a skilled employee right now? Why is it so difficult to find those employees?
That's a good question. Kind of spinning off what you were saying about the workforce and having a difficulty finding the workforce. To prepare for today's meeting, I wanted to look at what was the recruitment difficulty index for this area, and it is easier to find skilled candidates in the areas like Washington or Greenville versus the Martin County, Bertie County area and north. So it is harder to find that skill. So what we're finding is that a lot of the companies that are, especially with COVID, increased their pay rate. Entry-level pay rate was around $12 an hour. Entry-level now is around $15 an hour. That's actually considered a low pay rate. And these are for entry-level. So the skilled technical is going to probably come from more of your work experience or specialized training, whether it be in high school or with your community colleges.
Thank you, Laura. Emphasizes the importance of training programs in places like Martin Community College here.
Even if it's just for a short certification, if that's on their resume, that's going to go a long way with employers.
Got it. Thank you, Laurie. Rebecca, I want to go back to you from a Chamber of Commerce perspective. What are the services you provide to businesses and entrepreneurs in the area? What do you do to help them succeed in Martin County and Washington County?
So for starters, everybody needs promotion, right? How many of you still do print advertising for your companies? Any radio? Any television? Okay, so I'll rephrase the question. So we respond to different forms of advertisement. And the number one form of advertisement right now is Google. So we have everything at our fingertips. We can have information right away. What we do when we help our businesses, and I'm just going to backtrack. For the last 30 years, I've worked in a number of different industries, and most of them being service industries, some non-profit, some for-profit. Prior to coming to the Chamber of Commerce, I was a quality control inspector for Flagstone Foods and really enjoyed that whole experience and kind of seeing where your trail mix comes from and that jar of nuts comes from and some of the other items that they manufactured there and packaged. When COVID hit a few years back, and I'll get back to the advertising because it's really important. When COVID hit, a lot of employees opted to just leave and go get the $600 a week from unemployment. They didn't have to work as hard, and they could still get a check. Then, many of those employees, after that money went away, didn't come back. Where did they go? How are they living? What's going on? Fast forward to 2021, North Carolina was on the map for two things. Number one, we had over 178,000 new businesses started in North Carolina in 2021. That's legitimately, that means people had actually registered their business, got their appropriate licenses, and started a business. COVID actually helped people in many ways reinvent themselves because we all have to adapt. And as humans, we've done that over the years as different epidemics and different things have struck, and we've gone through it. The same thing with COVID. This is something that we had never seen before, not in our lifetime or generation. So the other thing several months later was North Carolina was featured as the top state to start a business and to do business. So good news for us again. So the Chamber Chamber of Commerce, we're trying to think, well, where are all these businesses? They must be home-based businesses, smaller businesses. So what we already do for our members, we give them a chance to be on the radio, get a radio spot, an interview. We have extra promotion that goes out in the form of newsletters, email blasts. Many times we'll have local markets and things like that where we can feature them, put them in the newspaper. We have ribbon cuttings. Even if a business isn't starting for the first time, they can do a grand reopening, remind their community that they're still there, still offering whatever products and services that they have to offer. We also have a number of other programs. Is anyone familiar with ECU's Rise 29 program? So another benefit for our members is the Rise 29 program. ECU's Business School has a team of students that serves 5 different counties. And they have businesses that will apply for the assistance, and they come out, will assess a business, look at their profits, their losses, their marketing, see how they can improve, how they can help. A team of students, they're fresh-minded, lots of ideas, very excited and ambitious about helping businesses and what they're applying, what they're learning in their studies. We offer this as a benefit to our members, to those that want to participate. For example, we had a welder who specifically makes the hunting boxes on the back of the trucks. We see lots of those rolling around, especially this time of year. So that's his area of specialty. He was a new member to the chamber. He was having some administrative difficulties because as he got into his busy time of year, number one, he didn't have help. Number two, he was having trouble tracking his money. So he calls the chamber, I need an accountant, I need some help, I need an employee, I have an apprentice, I'm not sure if it's working out, what do I do? So we connected him to the Rise 29 program. They went out, they assessed, they found out that he was pricing his work below the standard, so he wasn't making that much money. They also helped him by hooking him up with some additional suppliers, some new ways of getting materials so that he could lower his costs and be able to make a higher profit. They also helped him get incorporated so that he was legitimate, no longer cash under the table business, but now he's official. And the apprentice didn't work out because she had a temper, and I guess she was throwing things at him during the workday. So it's another way the chamber came in and was able to help, and we were able to hook him up with, now he's going to start utilizing our local college as maybe a source for some people that he can train in the business. So, there's a lot of different scenarios, and this all happens, this is a home-based business, so he's way out in the middle of nowhere, but it was a way that we were able to connect all these resources to him through the chamber. So another thing that we do to get a hold of our home-based businesses, and I'm just going to show this really quickly. I wanted to get in touch with all these people that started businesses in 2021. So we created a RAC card that some of our participating towns within Martin County and Washington County have put in their utility bills. So for 9 cents, I can get to about 1,000 homes per city. So this is what we decided to do because I couldn't drive to everyone and we couldn't find them all, because what happens on Facebook and social media is people's reach and their exposure is very limited to close friends and family. So what happens next? So that's where we try to help them by additional promotion, getting their name out to other towns, other areas. Anyone that's a member gets promotion in all of our service areas. So we've had home-based businesses coming out of the woodwork since they've been getting these in their utility bills. So it's been a successful campaign, and one that didn't cost a lot, but it gave us a chance to access some of those businesses. We also provide certificate of origin. Many times, for various reasons, a business needs to establish where they've been, where they were started. So the Chamber of Commerce offers that for them as a service, and it's like in the form of a letter type of certification. So there are other programs throughout the year that we assist with. We give scholarships. We give a Business of the Year, Citizen of the Year awards. There's some major events where we're able to feature our businesses and our members, and then sponsorship opportunities. So Our manufacturers, many of them are sponsors of the chamber so that we can extend some of these programs. If a business is struggling and they just can't afford a membership, many times we'll reach out and we'll be able to sponsor them for a year and help them get on their feet. They can access all the benefits of the chamber, and when it comes time to renewal, depending on how they're doing, sometimes they're ready to go ahead and pay the next year because they've done well and they've seen the profit and the benefit from membership. So it's a very, very important element here in Martin County and Washington County and the areas we serve. And we do a lot of cross-county referrals. So I tell folks always that call me from other counties, do join your local chamber. If you're doing business in our county, join our chamber too. So you can get double the benefit. So we work with our local college here, our small business center, with educating business owners. They learn how to do campaigns, how to advertise, how to start a business. They learn about some grant writing for our nonprofit members. So there's a number of resources here at the college making use of the intern programs and connecting employers with the teachers here, so everybody's working at the same time together to make sure that our employers have access to employees and that we get the word out. So we also post job fairs, job listings from our members. So we try to make that available so that that resource is there. As long as we know about it, we can put it out. So it's really a lot of partnership with our local agencies and working together that helps us do what we do. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Rebecca. Chambers of Commerce are great assets to communities. And if you haven't heard of the Rise 29 program that ECU does, it's an incredible program. The Miller School of Entrepreneurship is rated as one of the tops in the country. And Rise 29 allows a student to get involved with small businesses in Eastern North Carolina, kind of learn how they operate, but also help them with the digital skills or social media marketing and various other things. You mentioned something, a situation with an angry apprentice, and that kind of emphasizes what this group has learned a lot about, employability skills. And Billy, I want to go to you with your interactions in industry. What are companies looking for in an employee? What are some of those soft skills to prevent an angry apprentice being hired? What are they looking for in an employee?
Yeah, so several things. Soft skills, we've talked that to death, but it hasn't changed for a long time. They need somebody that can come to work on time, that can stay all day, that doesn't have issues that pull them away, somebody that can work as a team with the plant floor. That's really, really important because there's no plant. There's not many jobs out there that doesn't require you to work with your coworkers, your managers, the team, the next department. So it's, it has to be a well-oiled machine to work. So if people are not used to other people's opinions, they can't figure out strengths and weaknesses, they can't function as a team together, back each other up, and it creates problems on the floor, that's a problem for the company. It interrupts production, interrupts the day. Nobody has time for that, and so ultimately it ends up in somebody losing their job. So it's real unfortunate. So they're really looking for a team-minded person, a person with a broad background when it comes to skills and education. We're really big on skills because we have all these different programs here. So that's what we put a lot of emphasis on, but we begin to build team building into our different skills programs so that people will learn to get along and work together as a group. Matt can probably expand on it too. The need for workers to get together and work as a team.
Thank you, Billy. Matt, anything to add on what you guys are looking for at Weyerhaeuser?
Well, I was going to say you could send that fiery apprentice over to me. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Just some high-level stuff. So one of the things that I see is the lack thereof, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here with soft skills. So, I learned receiving feedback gracefully, right? So being able to have difficult conversations, read between the lines of what your manager's telling you, and then be able to run with it, right? So really being able to decipher what you're being told. Somebody's addressing your behavior, and this goes back to my leadership style is challenge and rapport, right? So I build a good rapport with my workers, so that way when it comes time to challenge them, they don't take it personally, right? So I think explaining these and helping the younger workforce understand that when they get out there in the real world, or even you as educators, when you challenge them on something, they should be looking to read between the lines of that message, right? Don't take it personally. It's not a personal attack. It's you're trying to help them better themselves. You know, my company's very big on growth from within. Our vice president of lumber was a millwright, and then he moved into a planning role and then supervisor, and he's now the vice president. So there are avenues to growth, but they have to have the right mindset. And I boil it down to two things. You need the willingness and the skill. Will and skill. I can get you the skill if you got the will, right? So if you're willing to show up on time, have a good attitude, you know, don't have a victim mentality, and be able to receive that feedback gracefully and make it fruitful, you'll go far. And you'll go far fast. It does not take much to be a shining star in today's workforce. It really doesn't. The bar is pretty low. So, you know, a little bit of willingness and going that extra mile, asking the right questions, and being able to get dressed down when you're acting up, you know, that goes a long way with me. So,
Thank you, Matthew.
I'm a career tradesman, so I'm a little bit rough around the edges on some of this stuff, but you know.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Laurie, I do want to finish up with you.
Do you mind if I
Go right ahead.
question? So completely agree with everything you're saying, both of you, on the teamwork. I was just making some notes here about the soft skills, you know, being reliable, positive attitude, conflict resolution. Some things that came to mind is, well, also a lot of our companies, and we hire for large companies in the area, like DSM, now Avient, Flagstone Foods, Pfizer, Merck, other larger companies, and that's what we're hearing. They can teach the skill, but this is something that they have to have and present. Many times I think that I want to try to tie what me being here to the teachers and to the high school students is interview skills. Entry level high school graduates do not know how to interview. So that is something that really needs to be taught and practiced. You'd be surprised how nervous they get. I mean, everybody's nervous for their first interview, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. So it's very important, and an employer will pick up on these things, on these type soft skills during that interview process. You know, give them examples. We ask for, give me an example where you worked in a teamwork environment. Give me an example of when you experienced a hardship or difficulty, you had a difficult supervisor or difficult employer or difficult coworker. How did you handle that? Those are the harder questions, but if they're prepared for that, they'll be prepared for any interview that they go into and more prepared to be on the job.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you all for being here today. I want to close out and say and expand on something Billy mentioned. From an economic development perspective, Eastern North Carolina is a very strategically located place. You know, we're within 2 hours of 2 ports. We're within about 2 hours of an international airport. That's easy to talk about. The difficult part is talking with companies about workforce, convincing your students why this is a good place to be and guiding them in direction to a good job. One of the biggest reasons I stayed here, I'm from Greenville, born and raised here, been here all my life. One of the reasons I stayed here was because it's a very affordable place to live and a very comfortable place to live. The median housing price in Williamson, North Carolina is $99,000. Over in Greenville, it's $166,000. You go an hour and a half, 2 hours away in Raleigh, you're looking at $350,000 for a house. I have friends who have roommates in big cities, and they're 30 years old, they're going to have roommates for a long time. This is a great place to be, and we kind of have to communicate that cost of living perspective. You can go get a $60,000 salary in Raleigh, but it's not going to go very far. So it's important to communicate that to students, you know, learning those financial aspects of why this is such a great place to be. Again, Matthew, Billy, Rebecca, Laurie, thank you so much for being here today and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Can I make one comment I'd like to share? what we need you to do as instructors to your students is assure these students that it is okay to work with your hands. It is okay to pick a technical career, okay? You don't go from high school to a desk job, pushing white paper, making big money. I like to tell students it's a ladder. Your career is a ladder. The quicker you can get on the bottom rung and start climbing, the sooner you'll be at the top of the career ladder. And these technical careers pay excellent, excellent money. Excellent money. They can exceed what some four-year college degrees pay. Now, I also like to tell the story of my own career. I started as a brick mason, toting bricks, then laying bricks, finished high school, went to college, worked in construction, made it in manufacturing as a mechanic assembly, worked up to supervisor. Then it ended up as an industrial engineer in quality control, and then a department supervisor, department manager, and then plant manager, and then a divisional manager. And somehow I ended up at Martin Community College. So if I'd have known I'd been in education, I'd have studied harder. But the moral to that story is that first job, that hands-on, that able to do something, it can take you anywhere you want to go. And that's how you get to the big jobs, the great jobs, the high-paying jobs. So you got to start somewhere, so don't be afraid. But any one of those trades that I talked about, you can go in all kinds of directions, okay? So we need to make sure these kids understand it's okay to do that. Whatever you're good at, follow your passion. They will be a career for you, and it can lead anywhere.
Thank you, Billy. Great closing statement. One more.
I'm just going to piggyback on that because I am that story, right? I do not have a college degree. I will share with you, I do make a six-figure salary, and I went through the International Millwright Union, right? So I've been everywhere from North Slope in Alaska, offshore drill rigs, and now lumber in eastern North Carolina, right? So kids need to understand you can go through a four-year apprenticeship, which we've developed with North Carolina and Martin Community College. By the time they come out, they probably made a $250,000 with overtime in 4 years, and they have zero debt, zero. Or they can go get a degree, and if they want to be a computer programmer in a saturated market or whatever it is, you know, they need to look at what is the economy in that market. Are they going to be able to find a job? So, you know, healthcare, manufacturing, skilled trades, they're in high demand right now. I know everybody wants to sit at a desk and make, you know, $1 million, but that ain't reality. So if anybody here would like me to share that story with someone that you can think of off the top of your head, or a classroom or a group, whatever you need, I'll get you my business card, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with somebody. So.
Thank you, Matthew. We'll have time, hopefully, for you guys to interact with the teachers here coming up. I do want to turn it over. Rebecca, Laurie, anything else you guys want to close out on?
Yeah, of course, I can talk forever. Just to kind of piggyback off what you two were saying as well, I also started out at the bottom. I started out as, actually, I graduated from the PTA program here, very young, right out of high school. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my career. You know, I wasn't serious about that. I started out as an in-house temp for a staffing service, and I've been in HR and staffing for 24 years now, and absolutely love my job. And we were talking before, you know, it's important that you love your job, and that's what's most important. But also, I wanted to say that, you know, I know of another success story. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Cummins plant in Rocky Mount. The plant manager there started out as a in-house, or not in-house, but a temp, you know, on the line, and then worked his way up to where he's at. And so it's the success stories like that are everywhere.
Anything else, Rebecca?
No, we appreciated being here, and we thank you so much for all the work that you do.
Yeah.
And because there's so much extra that goes along with teaching and educating. And I've spent a number of years educating in the music field, but it is work, and sometimes we don't always see the rewards of our work. But thank you for what you do, and thank you for having this event. This is really informative, and it's really a great benefit to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, and I'll turn it back over.